Okay, so why did you move to Manchester first of all? Because you're known as a London boy.
Yes, the archetypal London boy. I moved to Manchester because my partner, she's studying midwifery here at the uni, and also it made sense to me because I have a long-running relationship with Manchester.
Yeah.
In people I know here, and also from coming up here clubbing, and also for the way Mancunians have a real love of, I think, good music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I say good music, I forget about all the, the kind of Manchester thing.
Yeah.
i.e. Happy Mondays and all that. That's great, for what it is, it's fantastic. But Manchester's always had a really good soul scene. Real good black music scene. Reggae scene, soul scene.
Yeah.
So I've always been kind of tuned into what's going on up here.
Yeah.
Myself and friends. And I've always travelled from when I was about 15.
Yeah.
Coming up to Manchester to all days and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, it's been a long relation. Now I'm here, it's kind of reawakened my musical mojo.
Oh, okay. What I was going to say is does the city give you inspiration? Because I think there's a rich legacy in London of the city influencing music.
No, it does actually. It's funny because it's influenced me, but it's not just the city. Obviously, it's the people in it as well. I've had as people know, a relationship with the electric chair lot for years. So I've known Luke and Mogsy and Justin and all that crowd for a long time, and they were always quite a big influence on. Every time I came to play for the chair, I was always buzzed up. I make a track now, It's quite exciting stuff. Great club, one of the seminal clubs for me.
Yeah.
But since I've been up here, obviously the electric chair isn't there anymore. Obviously they do the Riot once a year, which I play at. But there's a new scene which I've tapped into. There's the wet play guys.
Yeah.
There's like people like Rough Done, Steve Spandex, and all that crowd, and Woody that does the Red Laser Disco.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be an observer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then there's people, Randy Marsh, great name, great. But the guy that uses his name, great name, Randy Marsh, sounds like a porn star. He had an art exhibition, for instance, at the Electric Bar.
Yeah.
For me, it's lovely to see that kind of thing going on. Do you know what I mean? Where there seems to be a healthy sense of rivalry, but a healthy community as well. And they all know each other, and they all seem to help each other.
Yeah.
That's from where I'm standing. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, no, I think you're about right. And it is that. It's not a village, but not London is so big.
Yes.
So cosmopolitan, whereas Manchester has got a scene, and it is,
Yeah, and they've taken me under their wing, which is lovely. Do you know what I mean? And I feel a little bit more freer now. I can operate up here, and I still travel to London a lot, obviously. And I still travel down to the sea, Hastings, to work with my partner Darren Morris. So that's still ongoing, but it's just nice. It's given me a bit of a breather.
And you were saying you've been coming up there since you were young, but you've got a lot. So you wear your influences very much on your sleeve. And how did you get into such a big melting pot of? Because you're well known for your reggae, your soul, your house. And that's a lot of things.
I think it's just everything, hip hop, rock, you name it, I'm in it.
Yeah.
I've said it so many times before. It's my dad. It starts and ends with my dad. Really, he's sadly passed away now, but if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have this kind of mad knowledge of music. Do you know what I mean? He was the guy that gave it to me and said, "Look, don't run with it." Do you know what I mean? So that was, for me, looking back now and reflecting on what he was about. Like most parents, you had your ups and downs with them. But the constant with me and my dad was always the music. We could always talk about music. So it always makes me smile because every time I reflect on it, I think, oh yeah, you turned me on to that. And I in turn, as I was getting older, would bring things to him, and he'd be like, oh, I'm really into this. So that was great, and for that I am eternally grateful, definitely.
Who are you making music with? So have you got do you work with different producers?
Yeah, I work with different people. I describe myself, I suppose. I'm not an island. I'm not a one-man machine. Never have been. You know. Even when I did the Yardism album, it was in collaboration with Yam, Luke Solomon, and Darren, who I worked with, Darren Morris. So it was working within their studios, but I took more control over my own thing there, you know, and that was nice. That was nice stepping out on my own. You know, that was the first record I actually put out under my own name.
Okay, I didn't realise that.
Yeah, everything's always been cloak and dagger and hidden.
Well, that is one of the other questions. Was how come? Because you have got a huge amount of aliases.
Yeah.
And is that because working with different producers and you come up with a different name?
No, I love coming up with names, but also I think that for a long time there's always been a bit of a fear of actually stepping out and going, oh, it's me. Do you know what I mean? I think because I talk to him, you know, a few times a year, what Andrew Weatherall, you know, we talk and that. His was the same kind of process. I think he did his first solo project 2 years ago or something. Do you know what I mean? His first EP and whatever, an album. And I think it's just fear of sort of going, oh, do you know what, this is actually me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm happy now. Now I've done it, I'm happy. And now I can go back to doing loads of aliases.
Well, on Facebook today I asked if anyone had any questions. Tom Dalton said, are there any plans to resurrect the London Heavy Disco Review?
Maybe. Maybe. The thing, it's not that I'm adverse to it. I'm one of these people, I'll run with the project for a while and then I get bored. But London Heavy Disco Review was getting more and more out there, and I think it was going from disco, where it started, and it was just becoming more and more like, I think it was going almost in a heavy rock direction, some of it, do you know what I mean? So I thought it was using disco not as the term which people would think, but I was going more and more increasingly where when the first clubs, say for instance, were happening in New York and over here as well, where there was a bit of a mix-up going on, so they play like rock records with extended percussive jams and stuff. That's kind of where we were starting to head out to, you know. The only reason it stopped was because the label Out Here Audio, which is my label, I kind of knocked that on the head for the moment anyway. But yeah, that could come out in London Heavy Disco.
That's a maybe.
It'd be interesting to see if I do start it where we would go music.
Yeah. And are there any releases from your huge kind of back catalogue that are particularly special to you?
Well, you know what, it's interesting because I tend to shy away. Once I've done an album, I tend to think, oh, that's it, done now, forget about it, I'm on to the next project. But the one or the two projects that keep returning constantly are obviously the Ballistic Brothers and the Black Science Orchestra. Ballistic Brothers was with Rocky and Diesel, Rishi Clarkson and Dave Hill, and that was a brilliant time in our lives as a collective. Getting it together now, we kind of discussed it, maybe of getting it together. There was an idea of maybe getting it back together and that, but it's not worked. I think it's hard really. I think we'd have to all be very, very rich to do something like that. So we could do it at our leisure. Do you know what I mean? You know, and not be driven by the financial side of it. And the Black Science Orchestra, wow, that's now become something where I'm happy to put my hand up to it. In the sense of, great, it was brilliant. For a long time I couldn't even talk about it because of personal reasons really. But it's a great project and I'm really, really happy that I made that album, made all those 12 inches. And, you know, and I'll tip my hat and say, you know, it was seminal shit there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt,
You know, we were doing that, I think, that, especially what they like to call new disco or whatever, we were doing that shit way back when.
Well, it is that, you're right, it is that time, and you forget now when, you know, Acid House has been through everything, and at the time, people like you making those records, it's like, making things doing it in a way that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, and that for me, I can look back now very, very happy on that project. And, working with Ushi Clarkson, working with Mark Wolford, who God knows where he is now. Last time I heard he was teaching yoga. That's serious. I think he got disillusioned with the music industry.
Easy to do.
Easy to do. Yeah, we do get we all get disillusioned with it from day to day, I think.
Yeah.
But it's what the music industry is. What I do. What I do in the music industry is I say to people, you create your own little universe, and you reside in that. Yeah. Because it's otherwise it's an uphill battle trying to fight the industry itself. You just got to look at it and laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And do you? What do you play off? Are you off? Because
I play off CDs. Well, not DJ. CDs.
Right. And any plans to embrace the digital age with DJing or?
I love the idea of the turning up with the USB stick, but I just have this fear that the system will break down or something. Do you know what I mean? But I think I like the idea of that because that's turning up with the USB stick is quite interesting because the music you've got coming off of the USB pretty much is very pure. It's not been burnt down. You're not losing anything by burning it back down onto a CD, onto an MP3 or audio. It's very, very clear. You know what I mean? So I quite like that. But I think I would personally like to say that a lot of the clubs and the promoters out there, they need to up their game. They need to get the sound systems in the clubs, I think, top notch. Because I'm finding increasingly the sound systems are bloody bad.
Well, you're right. There is an argument that goes on about what is best to play off, and then the sound. You go, shit sounds it's like, well, it's all going to sound shit.
Exactly. And I think, regardless of what you're playing on within a club, the club should be, the sound system should be great for decks, it should be great for CDs or MP3s, it should be great for USBs as well. Do you know what I mean? Right across the line for any club.
Well,
it's to do really.
Yeah, as it's gone on, it's become more diverse. It's a shame that everyone got to settle on. It used to be you get some 1210s and that was it. Because now there's like CD players, it's right, and it's just things you can use. But, so be it, I guess. What producers are doing it for you at the moment?
I like Cy Roughneck, what he's doing at the moment. But to be honest with you, I like his ethos. But to be honest with you, there's so many producers out there at the moment that are making really, really bloody good stuff. I love, because I'm working with Danny Mooneymack. I love what Mooneymack's doing as well. He's making some really good stuff. Always had a love affair with. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, well, he's in his. Well, I was going to say second age, but he's suddenly.
Days,
but he's kind of gone. Bigger than he's ever been.
Bigger than he's ever been, yeah. But he's always made me smile, And I still go out and I still buy records. I bought one today, Mud and Pollard, which is Paul Murphy.
Oh yeah.
165, yeah. I bought the record there, but fantastic production. Do you know what I mean? Really, really. One of those records that for me. You can pull it out of your box 2 years later and it's still going to sound fresh, So there's that going on, and I'm always in close liaison with Ross Allen. He's a very good friend of mine. He's always turning me on to new stuff. I love all sorts. I love the stuff that comes out of Hypercube, for instance. LV and all those characters. There's just so much stuff. So much stuff.
And what classic tracks would be top of your list to remix? Because you've remixed some pretty big hitters in your time. Is there anyone left on that? You've got your list on the kitchen wall. You're working your way down there.
I think remixing, the classic style of remixing from way back in the day, i.e. you're giving them the multi-tracks, you just work with the multi-tracks rather than adding your stuff to it. So you're working with just what's there. That's kind of where I'm into at the moment. I'll tell you an album that's been a bit constant with me over the years, which I always listen to because I love the production. It was the Wild Magnolias, which was a New Orleans one of what they call the Indian bands, which is a bunch of black guys that used to dress up as Indians and do the marching thing through the streets of New Orleans. They made this album, which is incredible. That I would love to get my hands on, and if anything, remaster it. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to get hold of that. But you know, will their parts exist or not, I don't really know. But I'm doing a project at the moment for Harmless Records, who owned by Dean, and Ian Dewhurst is kind of super A&R in it really. And the project's been going on nearly 3 years now. It's nearly finished, and it's basically I went through their vaults. The project's called A Message in Music, and I've gone through the vaults and I've cherry-picked tunes that I love, and there's some stuff that's damn obscure, and there's some stuff that people know, and I've edited the whole lot, because I wanted to kind of make a statement about the whole edit thing, because it's massive, as you know, and I kind of wanted to just put it to bed, because people are moaning, you know, what's this edit thing going on? It's like a genre, isn't it? You know what I mean? I wanted to say to people, well, yeah, to do an edit, I think Greg Wilson would agree with me on this. It's an art form, you know, about taking something and enhancing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I've done this project, and when that comes out, which will be sometime this middle of this year, it will, you know, it will, I think, say to people, this is how the shit's done. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that with any ego, but just to say, look, you know, this is the thought, this is deep, check it out, you know what I mean? And hopefully draw a line with this whole thing.
Well, I think SoundCloud and I don't get started on it. Still on edits. And then finally, is there a record you look at and you think, oh, I wish I made that?
Yeah, there is actually. It's Bruce Springsteen. I think it's his second album, Wildly Innocent and the E Street Shuffle. And I think it's the album that he had to do, that if it didn't... No, it was the one before Born to Run, I think. And I think it was the album that he nearly lost his deal, basically, which is what I'm saying. But that album, I wish I was at least a fly in the water anyway, do you know what I mean? And Husker Du makes no sense. I wish I would make that record. I love Husker Du, do you know what I mean? I always surprise people, I always bang on about Husker Du, but makes no sense. But I mean, pretty much every day, you know, I'll listen to a record or I listen to a track and I'll go, God, I wish I'd made that. Do you know what I mean? Young Americans will be another one, David Bowie. You know, and he's popped on.
That's ninjas, yeah.
Fantastic. So that's one of those records I think, God, I'd love to have been in on that session and produced that. Do you know what I mean?